listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Those tomahawks are this big, if you want them that big, that is. Give them a call at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 for uppercutchops.com. And remember, tell them the circus sent you. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody over on radio, everybody on television, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Wow Cable TV, as well as Hotel Television in all Nielsen rated markets. Plus everybody on YouTube today, because we are streaming live there. And also everybody on Facebook will get a chance to watch us too, especially our friends with Chicago Food Favorites. Yes, of course, that's a group that, hey, listen, join the group. Talk about your food favorites, whatever it is, your recipes, whatever it is. Get it out there. It's free. We do it for free just because we can. And over here with the barbecue master, the quarterback breaker, and the rib maker, that would be Al Bubba Baker. And of course, Al's always a big sight on the show. Al, welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Hey, Sal, thank you for having me, man.
Buddy.
I'm really excited today about today's show. I kind of found this little hole in something, and I want us to be able to dive deep in it. And by the way, I want to, for those of you who have been following us, I'm going to thank you all for following us. Last week I left off. I was going to come right back and do that next tier down of people that exited the playoffs quickly, or the ones that just barely did not make it. And I started to get into it, and I thought about, this is boring. Here's something that's really exciting. And what I came up with is the correlation between the quarterback position, right? The left tackles and the right tackles or tackle position, and the defensive end. And I'm going to give you a little,
Hold that thought, Al, because for all those people that have been living under a rock and don't know who you are and what you do, take 30 seconds and tell everybody all about you so they say, oh, that's why he knows this.
You froze a little bit.
That's right.
You did the robot there for a minute.
That's okay. That's all right. Hey, listen, it's live. Anything can happen.
Yes, I'm right with you on that, brother. I missed what you were saying, if you had a point, but
I said, tell everybody about yourself in case they've been living under a rock and wonder why you know so much about all this great football knowledge.
Well, I'm Al Bubba Baker, and I played in the National Football League from 1978 to 1990 when I retired. I was the Rookie of the Year. I actually hold the record for single season sacks. That's 23, and if I have it for 23 as a rookie, doesn't that mean I have the record as a rookie? I don't know. Check the NFL record books, and this is going to be kind of where my conversation goes today as we talk about that defensive end / edge rusher, because I'm going to make us all think about this for a while here. Getting back to who I am. Not only did I play in the game, but it just occurred to me these last couple of years that I may have been a part of a movement that came right along with the 1983 draft when Marino and Elway and Todd Blackledge and let me see who else. Um, who else? Jim up in Buffalo. His name just escaped me because took too many hits to hit. But Jim Kelly. But here's what's so important. If you look at the quarterback position and how there's been a run on quarterbacks starting back in '83, and then of course last year, and they always seem to go like everything else, not 1, 2, 3 at a time, but they go in bunches, like last year's draft. I want this to be something that we all delve into our minds and go, maybe we have something. So let me define the defensive end. I'm going to jump right in. The defensive end is usually the man on the line of scrimmage in a 4-man front. We would call that the 4-3. This is how football originally started, against the wing T when everybody was up on the line of scrimmage and it was run-oriented. We had a middle linebacker, we had a weak side linebacker, and a strong side. I'm going somewhere with this. Now, they typically played on the outside shoulder, and there was very little passing, like Woody Hayes and so many of them say 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and nothing bad can happen if you don't throw the ball. That's the way they felt in the original outing of college and then professional football. But what they faced in those days was, we refer to it as a 3-4, and in reality, it's a 5-man line. Let me show you how to count it. Nose guard, directly over the center. 2 men line, head up over both tackles, and 2 men over the 2 tight ends, which is what they ran then, or it was a wing T formation. Could have been a running back, could have been a wing guy, but in any event, it's a 5-man line. Here's my reason for sharing that. Whomever it is, that's the end man on the line of scrimmage, has contained. A little later in the show, I'm going to give you my 5 top defensive ends, and that's because I've separated defensive ends from edge rushers / their linebackers. They're guys that after the defensive ends have done all the work, they come up and the fat guys are all tired and sloppy and out of shape and their technique's gone. And it's kind of a nice way of doubling guys and they're getting to see different things. But a defensive end remains on the field for all 4 downs. If I'm making any sense, this is not like a Joe Washington that comes in, he's a 2-down back. These are every down defensive linemen. So I want to go on and talk about the difference between, now I'm going to make the difference between a left end. We're talking strictly a 4-man line, because your defense is weakened if you have to go cinco, which is a term that is used when you have to bring a linebacker or bring in a 5th lineman. You're weakening the defensive back end, in the back end of your defense. You only get 11 guys. Now you got 5 up front, you can only cover with 6. So here's the way I want you to think about this. That end man on the line of scrimmage, the left end and the right end are as different as your left hand and your right hand unless you are ambidextrous. And in this case, that's where we're going to come in with these quote-unquote edge rushers, because they are different. So we're going to stay with that defensive end, and we're going to just talk about the responsibilities, because I see it over and over and over, and it's making me crazy. It's making me crazy to see the left defensive end cut down under, go underneath, quarterback rolls out of the pocket. It's selfish play. I don't care who it is. Aiden Hutchinson, it's selfish play. Your job is to contain and keep the quarterback or running back inside, because that's your job. First and foremost, to contain. Second, locate the ball and make the play. I don't see enough of that from the guys playing on the front line. It seems to me they're all looking for headlines. More importantly, the other 3 guys can beat their men. You lose contain and the quarterback runs out the other side with all these athletic quarterbacks. The backside end, he should be the catalyst. Why? Because the quarterback can't see him. That's a whole different position. And we talk about the two inside guys. There's usually a big guy that plays over the center, and then there's what we call all these years quick tackle or inside tackle. So when we come back, we're going to be taking a break here in a little bit. Sal, I was wondering if any of what I'm saying to you is making sense now about the left end on a right-handed quarterback. That changes now if you're the right end and the quarterback's Mark Brunell and he's left-handed, or if it's Steve Young, now you're the guy that has to keep everybody in the pocket. That's team defensive play. We're going to take a little break here pretty soon, but I want to come back and I want to talk to you about what are you seeing? What are you seeing when the quarterback gets out of the pocket or when he runs up underneath? Because we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what your job is. I'm going to go back and say it one more time. Locate the ball and make the play. That's what a defensive end's job is.
All right, folks, listen, you're getting some great tutelage from somebody that knows a little bit of something about playing in the National Football League. Look, this guy's done it for a lot of years. And guess what? He really knows what the hell he's talking about. You need to really listen. And when we come back from break, in about just a few minutes or so, Al's going to take a deeper dive. And that would be Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker right here on the Sports Circus on our nationally syndicated show. Listen, folks, you don't want to miss this one. Back here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. That's 800-957-6209.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Hey, a big thanks to everyone tuning back in on television, on radio, and on social media. And I want to say a special invitation to our friends over at the Chicago Food Favors. My man Sal got that all set up, and I just want to welcome you guys. Hey, guys, join us because we're talking about something extremely important to the direction that I believe that the game has gone. And I want to have my man Sal come in on this right now and talk to us a little bit about so far how he's been following what we've been talking about up to this point.
You know, as I listen, I'm getting information that I wasn't given as a youngster. And all of our audience that's watching and listening right now, they say, you know what? What is this edge rusher, defensive end? When I was a kid, there was no edge rusher, as we've always heard about. Well, there's this edge rusher. We're going to go and acquire an edge. What the hell's an edge rusher anyway? We've always seen that alignment in that front 5 or 4, or even if it's a 3-4, right? You've got your middle linebacker, and then you've got your defensive ends, etc., right? Or you have a tackle, and then you have a defensive end. The whole edge rusher idea, it almost seems like it's a convenient, new, cool word or new position. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you've got to contain, you've got to seal the outside, period. And that's really what I'm hearing with this, but I'm hearing it with a newer term. But an edge rusher, to me, I don't know. I'm confused as to why would you call it this? Well, is this somebody that just their sole job is to go after the quarterback and not contain the run? I mean, that's the one thing that they really don't talk about on television. They say, well, this guy's a sack machine or some crap like that. No, I'm talking to the sack machine, and maybe the sack machine could tell everybody what the real difference is. And why is it that the edge rusher is only viewed in most people's eyes as go after the quarterback instead of contain the run or contain your position, seal off that corner? Go ahead, tell everybody a little bit more. I may be wrong, but tell everybody more.
I find it quite interesting that the edge rusher came along with the gong show that's done in Indiana. It goes along with how much you bench press, how much you run the 20-yard zigzag, your vertical jump, how much fat on your obliques you can pinch, and none of it, absolutely none of it, has anything to do with playing defensive end. So that's where the edge rusher was invented by, in my opinion, the writers started it at the beginning, and it's purely based on what I call players that built like Tarzan and play like Jane. It has nothing to do with the final, the production of what a defensive end does. A defensive end is on the field all 4 downs, and in most cases, except with my exception, because I was horrible at special teams on purpose, especially goal line. I was terrible at it. That's another story with my long legs. But let's go back and think about this. What I'm trying to get everybody to think about is when you're on the outside and you have the end responsibility, here's your only exception. See, because I'm going to give you these my five best defensive ends, and it's not just based on sacks. It's not based on what kind of dances they do. It's on the play, the team play. Remember, I'm talking about the team, how you go out and you win defensively. And you'll be able to see this. So let's go back and talk about this now. I want to teach this. The only exceptions to an end having responsibility to contain is A, if the defense calls for him to pinch, and that would be in short yardage plays. It's a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and 2, and everybody's pinching. Middle linebacker's coming up the middle, the outside corners, you're trying to stop that short down and distance. That's number one. Number two would be if the outside linebacker, everybody follow me on this now, if your outside linebacker decided to switch responsibilities with you. Now he's coming up on the outside, you're taking the inside, so two guys are not in the same hole, and we still have gap integrity. We don't have to worry about a Lamar Jackson flying right between where we all came. Now we got 5 guys up the field, and he's headed the other way. We're in man coverage. Everybody's got their back to the line of scrimmage, and he rushes for 40, 50 yards, slides on the ground, okay? We're talking about the position now. That's why it's so important to hear what I'm saying. So when we pick my 5, you can say, oh, wow, that is it. So we talked about the left guy with a right-handed quarterback containing. We talked about the right guy. Now, what is that third exception? Number 1, we said less middle linebacker, unless it's the call of the defensive front. That's already been established, what you do. The second one is that outside backer calls, say, a will fire or a exchange. Bubba, you've got outside, you've got inside, I've got outside. One of those things. And the last is, here's a technique I want you to remember. We use this term called a game. A me game would be an end going first and the tackle now. Guess what? That defensive tackle has contained. We switched responsibility. So when you're watching a game and that defensive end crashes down and that tackle comes around, you know that was a me game. That's a game that was called at the line of scrimmage by the 2 linemen that have that authority on a 2nd and long, 3rd and long. So we're working it now, right? We're working how this goes.
Excellent.
So when you see a defensive end take the inside without his teammates knowing it, it's selfish play. It's frustration. It's not how the defense is designed to work. And then as Bill Belichick always said, that is one of those when you get to the sideline and you get the scream in your ear, do your job. So you can understand when you see that going on the sideline, you can say to yourself, that defensive end blew it. Or at the end of the game, it's 3rd down and long. You got 2 plays to go. And the end wants to get to the quarterback so bad. He takes the inside and the quarterback runs out of there and he takes 5 seconds to throw and it looks like the defensive back got beat. No, it's not. So remember, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the responsibilities. Now, we talked about the ambidextrous defensive end. I use that term when I see a defensive end. I'm going to use Aiden Hutchinson because I love my Lions. I'm an alumni. And he's my little baby brother, okay? When you see, think about this, folks, when you see a defensive end flipping from left to right, he's supposed to be quote unquote ambidextrous. But whatever happened to this? Whatever happened like a pitcher where he's setting him up on the outside corner and boom, throws it inside and takes away his inside. You don't get the setup if it's 60 passes. You just split your reps against that same tackle. Am I a fan of playing both sides? Absolutely not. So you need a left end and you need a right end, and they need to be well-versed in what their responsibilities are. This is just me talking, remember, because I'm going to pick my own 5 guys. Guys, think about what we're talking about so you can watch the game a little closer because it moves very fast. We're going to go back and talk about games. I see a lot of teams that run 2-man games. That's the end and the tackle. What I'd like to see is for them to bring back the kinds of games that involve 3 men, the nose guard, the quick tackle, and the end, or vice versa, or both tackles and the end. And what that does is that sets up your man for jab steps. We talked about earlier how your 40 time, within reason now, if you're 5'6" and you weigh 156 pounds, you're very well not going to play defensive end. But if you have the tools that come along with it, you're in that 6'3", 6'5", 6'6" area, and you weigh 250 pounds in that area, that's what the position calls for. But just think along with me. You're containing, you have responsibility, and you have to work with your team.
All right, that's great information. And guess what? We're going to pick up with that when we come back here in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus with Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Folks, again, you're getting great information. You don't want to miss this one. Back here in just a few moments. Oh, wait. You know what? Al, we've got another, 30 seconds. What do you think? What do we do in the next 30 seconds here?
I tell people how they can get a hold of me. They can go to
why don't you tell everybody
Baker
about all your social
TikTok,
media and take us out to break.
Baker 111, or they can go and follow me at Al Bubba Baker on Instagram and Bubba's Q60, my old food address. So the people at Chicago Food Favors would definitely enjoy my X address, Bubba's Q60 on X.
Bubba's Q60. And folks, in case you're wondering what that Q is, maybe that has a little something to do with barbecue. We're going to hear a little bit more about barbecue in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049. Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rip maker. A big thanks to everyone tuning back in on television, radio, and social media. And a special welcome to our friends over at the Chicago Food Favorites. I want to thank you guys because I'm a guy from the food business, and I started out my business in Chicago. That was where I got my ribs from. And I got to tell you about my favorite thing that I ever had on my menu. And that was something that we called the Chicago-style hot dog. I had everything on that thing except for the chicken, except for the kitchen sink. And it was one of our top sellers. So I want to say thank you to all you guys up there in Chicago, where hey, meat was king. And I want to thank you guys for getting us started out with Polish boys. We had what we call 4-to-1 Polish boys and the Chicago-style hot dogs. And by the way, 2 years in a row, I was the MLB sponsorship vendor, and I followed them from Cleveland, and I think the next one might have been Chicago. But yes, I lined up in Chicago and was there for the All-Star game as well as in Cleveland. So how many people did I serve? One time 10,000 and the other 14,000. Sold a lot of your hot dogs out of Chicago Food Favorites. So thanks a lot, guys. Okay, Sal. So we left off where we were talking about these 5 defensive ends. I'm going to start with my number 5, Danielle Hunter for the Vikings. 16 and a half sacks. You ask yourself, how did this guy wind up in the 5th spot as defensive ends? Well, because I've got 4 other guys that's better than him. I've got Aiden Hutchinson, believe it or not, from my Lions. Hutch had a great second year. He had 11 and a half sacks, but he made the Cardinals sin in some of the biggest games. He wanted to get there so bad that he forgot the responsibility of contain and team football. It happens a lot when you're young. When you get a little older, start slowing down, you get to a spot. If a blitz, quick lesson. For those of you that have been following us the entire show, if you have a blitz, a safety coming up the middle, now put your thinking caps on. If I told you that the pressure was coming right up the middle, the nose guard was taking the center, the right tackle was taking the guard. There was going to be a wide opening like the coming of the Red Sea. What should you do as a defensive end? I'll help you. Get up the field and wait for it to flood out. Wait for the quarterback to try and come out of the pocket. He'll run right to you. Well, the thing I saw with Hutchinson and a lot of young guys, they get overexcited and they take an inside move. All that pressure is coming up the middle, instant. Right now, that's safety. That's his play. It's meant for him. If he doesn't get it, you clean it up. But you cannot be selfish. And I don't mean it in a negative way. You got to understand the concept of what that play is designed to do. You get up, you keep him in the pocket. If you don't get him, then that safety that's coming up the middle is clean. He gets right past the running back because another linebacker is coming to occupy him. Hope that makes sense to you. My number 3 is a guy that I like to say he has what I consider the biggest, the motor and the mentality of a defensive end, Max Crosby of the Raiders. 14 and a half sacks. Why is Max my number 3 defensive end? He never stops moving. He never stopped. That's the key to a defensive end. 3 quick things. Number 1, get off the ball. Number 2, use your hands violently. And number 3, keep your feet moving because you never know when the quarterback's going to come out of there. You should be standing around that pile no matter what, in case the ball pops out. My number 2 guy, number 1 and number 2 were very difficult, but these are your classic defensive ends, and they are separated from the rest. There's these 2 guys and the rest. And my number 2 is Nick Bosa. Nick is the reigning 2022 MVP with 18 sacks, 18 and a half he had. But nobody could block him. He had to be doubled, he had to be tripled, and he was unstoppable. And so were the 49ers. Just couldn't get past the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl. So my man, Bosa is number 2 this year with 10 and a half sacks. Why did he only have 10 and a half? Because everybody and their grandmother was helping out on Nick Bosa. Great defensive lineman. We talked about games. We talked about responsibility. Watch this guy's feet and watch how he makes it look like it's a game, and it's not. And he's just coming up the field. He's got that offensive lineman looking all over. He's looking for Casper the Ghost when the only person in front of him is Nick Bosa. Remember, that's the way to play defensive end. My other guy, I'd have to say, I hope his mom doesn't take this offensively, but this guy to me is a freak of nature, and that's Myles Garrett. And when I say that, I've seen him in person. He has no body fat. He's 275 pounds of muscle, 6'4", can dunk a basketball, running full speed with 2 hands, dribbles like he plays in the like he played in the NBA. He is a phenomenal athlete, and I don't mean that just in the sense that his 40 time is X, Y, or Z. He understands how to play defensive end. Now here's the one play that I'm sure everybody wonders how a defensive end knows how to play it, and that is the naked bootleg. That's when you see the tackle go down the block, the defensive end follows him on the run. The tackle goes down the block the next play, and the quarterback keeps the ball and reverses out. How does that end know he has the ball? That's why I said to you, a defensive end, locate the ball and make the play. It doesn't take you an entire play to figure out that he didn't hand it off. You watch that on film. That's why my top 5 are Danielle Hunter, Aiden Hutchinson, Matt Crosby, Nick Bosa, and Myles Garrett. And the way they got there is through hard work, due diligence, and respect. And I'm going to cover one other part here that I think is important. After you lead the league in sacks, things change. Now in the offensive meeting room, there's a conversation about number 95, Myles Garrett. There's a conversation about Nick Bosa. And the offensive coordinator says, what are we going to do about him? And they have to use up more than just that offensive tackle. That's the term where the term catalyst comes into effect. You use up other players and you minimize the opportunities of the offense. So I want to share with you the greatest play that a defensive lineman could ever have. It is the most dominant play in the game of football, and that is the sack. Think about it. It is the most devastating play that you could ever witness. And remember, Bubba Baker told you right here on the Sports Circus, okay? It is the sack, fumble, pick up the ball, and run it in the end zone for a touchdown. You cannot find any more demoralizing play, and that's why we only talked about defensive ends. That is a phenomenal play. And yes, edge rushers, linebackers, blitzing backers can accomplish that, but it's nothing better than to see a defensive lineman who's worked all game long to put that one play together and make that big play, or better yet, what's it called? Strip sack now. That's a new thing. That's a new term also. But just remember, guys, there's a difference between the defensive end. I just pointed that out. And a little later on, I will share.
You know what? The analysis you're giving, I could tell you, the analysis that you're giving is very in-depth. And folks, in many cases, when you're watching a program that's regarding this sport or that sport, you don't get to take this deep dive. Everybody says that it's a catchphrase, whatever. You don't get to get this kind of depth and analysis because the programs really don't allow for the actual content to be developed. In this case, on this show, that's the one thing that we do that's very different than everybody else. First of all, we don't give a damn what everybody thinks. What we do give a damn about is what we want to teach you and what we want you to know. And maybe there's a difference between this and that, but we'll take the time to develop the content where other shows typically won't do that unless you get a 60-minute specials on this or that or whatever. And then you're going to get what the content spin is because the advertisers are going to say, well, we don't like that. He's using the word edge rusher in a negative way. No, that's not the case. He's giving differentiation between position A, position B, and C, and so forth. That's what you get on this program, unlike all these other programs that are out there. That's why people dig the Sports Circus, yes! And that's exactly why people come back for years and years to watch this show. This is great stuff, folks. Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Can you stick around with us for one more segment, or do you got to go? You tell me.
I've got to go. But
we'll pick up on that. We're going to pick up on that when we come back here. Al, thanks for joining us today. And I'll tell you what, we'll talk a little bit later on today, okay?
Well, we'll come back later about those edges.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. That's 800-320-2751.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, quarterback breaker and the rib maker.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Yes! Well, you know, they've been with us for quite some time. In fact, all the way from the very beginning, back in 2016 when this show started. And, you know, over the years, we've had a lot of really interesting guests. We have a lot of great analysts. Of course, Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker, who you heard on the intro coming in and also for the first few segments. Look, this guy gives in-depth analyses on different topics within football. And I love the fact that as a defensive end, this guy really has knowledge that, folks, you're just not going to get. If you talk to Joe Blow or Josephine Blosephine, chances are they don't even know the content depth of which this man brings. And I will tell you this, as I was saying at the end of the last segment, in many cases when you're watching this show or that show, or you're listening to this show or that show, whether it's TV or radio, or now everyone has a podcast, which is lunacy, because a lot of people can't speak into a microphone effectively. It is what it is. But you realize that the way the content has been developed, the way the discussion was developed, and the way it sent a message to you, the viewer and the listener, it's a way that you'll listen to it over and over, and you'll get something out of it different. Maybe if you listen to 5 or 6 or 10 different times, you'll hear something different in the content. It's almost like that movie you have to watch, then you watch again. Oh, you know, I missed that. I'm going to go back and watch it again, because that's the depth that Al Baker brought to the table, to the Sports Circus in the last few segments. And this is what he brings every time he's on the program. Got to tell you, folks, this guy is a consummate professional. And every time he's on, the audience goes bananas because they really learn a lot. And by the way, they learn a lot as far as the food world goes, too. So, you know, talking about free agency and what has happened in the National Football League, it leaves a lot of question marks in the head. You know, CBS Sports, who we have, of course, we're on various CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, and independents from coast to coast, television affiliates, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and Wow Cable TV, Hotel Television, in all Nielsen-rated markets. We gain thereabouts 4 million impressions per hour, which is a massive number, in case you're keeping score. And, you know, today, a little bit of stream for our friends over on YouTube, and we experiment with these different platforms only because we're taking our regular 4 television and 4 radio content. This is an FCC-regulated show, and we're sharing it with the streaming audience as well. So this is a little bit of a different thing for us because we don't do a lot of streaming work. We don't have a billion followers and crap like that on streaming services or on pick your favorite social media, but we have a very dedicated television and radio audience. So us plugging the Chicago Food Favorites page on Facebook is kind of a fun thing. First of all, we don't get any money for doing this. Not at all. It's something that we do for fun because Al is a big barbecue guy, and you could Google him and find a million things on Al Baker. But at the same time, I started a page for all of our friends and family and Chicago food lovers. Doesn't matter where you're at. I'm in Las Vegas, and here we're still running the Chicago Food Favorites page because that's back home for me. But it's also back home for a lot of people, not physically home, but it's back home for food. So whether it's local favorites like Italian beef or hot dogs or pizza, the best pizza on the planet. You know, the pizza was invented in Napoli, in Italy, and it was brought to New York, but Chicago perfected the pizza. There's a big difference between the greasy triangles and the garbage pizza in New York. Hey, it is what it is. Sorry, folks. I can't help it. But the difference between the New York pizza, the Boston pizza, the Detroit pizza, and of course the Chicago pizza, it is what it is. Then you have the California version, whatever. That's a whole nother thing. Throw everything on there and a salad too, mind you. And then we'll call it a pizza, whatever. But there's also great foods within the city as world-class foods, from Indian food to, of course, steaks and chops, as you've heard from Al Baker with all the meat products, to Mexican food and Japanese food and Chinese food. Listen, even today there was a post for Chinese barbecue. I mean, great stuff. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And in fact, we've got a surprise for you later in the week. We're going to likely bring on the founder of Al's. Actually, I can't say the founder of Al's Italian Beef because that was the uncle. Yes, but the current ownership of Al's Italian Beef in Chicago, that would be Chris Pacelli, but you can call him Bones. He's going to be on the show, and he's been on every damn cooking show and travel food show, whatever, from, I think, Anthony Bourdain to this one to that one to pick your favorite food show he's been on. So Chris Pacelli from Al's Italian Beef is going to be with us at some point later this week is what we're hoping for. All right. So now that we've plugged the living daylights out of that, I want to talk a little bit about what CBS has to say for free agency. And of course, they say, this, again, according to CBS Sports, the 2024 NFL season is operating at full power. Yet we haven't even had a snap of the ball yet. But many high-profile players already moved on to new football homes on day one, including quarterback Kirk Cousins, who moved from the Minnesota Vikings to the Atlanta Falcons. And of course, edge rusher, which we heard so much about the edge rusher Brian Burns was traded from the Carolina Panthers to the New York Giants and signed a new deal. Running back Saquon Barkley, who left the Giants to sign with NFC East rival Philadelphia. That was kind of a neat one. And of course, plus running back Josh Jacobs, who departed the Raiders for the Packers. And of course, the Raiders, I've been going back and forth with one of these former Raider players about how the Raiders organization seems to be very undisciplined, all the way to the Henry Ruggs horrible incident, which happened a mile from my house, all the way to the way that it appears that the team has a lack of discipline. As soon as Mark Davis took the team over, it seems to me, in my opinion, I can say that, it seems as though the team has really downgraded itself as far as discipline. And I don't know. It's just an awful thing. And the Raiders are not well received here in Las Vegas for a bunch of reasons. And frankly, I don't blame Josh Jacobs for moving on to Green Bay. And let's face it, a lot of other players, I think, are doing the same thing. Now, day two of the free agency is, according to CBS Sports, edge rusher, there's that edge rusher thing, Daniel Hunter leaving the Vikings for the Texans, running back Joe Mixon being traded to the Texans. I don't even understand that one. And of course, Derrick Henry linking up with Lamar Jackson over in Baltimore. I don't even understand some of these moves. How in the world could the Cincinnati Bengals get rid of Joe Mixon? I'll never know. And of course, the official day of free agency also included some fireworks. None bigger than Calvin Ridley finding a new home in Nashville just when they get themselves a new quarterback in Atlanta. Oh, we don't need this guy. Let's ship him off to Nashville. And of course, that wasn't the only notable name that the Titans signed, as former Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph. I don't really know if that's a notable name, but then again, Mason Rudolph was a serviceable quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, he made another move, and listen, the Steelers go out and get Russell Wilson, and good for them. I think that's a really good move for them to get Russell Wilson. But then, of course, in my opinion, the biggest blunder of the offseason was the Steelers signing Justin Fields. This guy. I'm sorry, Justin Fields. Listen, some clown said on social media, well, he's done great in his last 20 games, blah, blah, blah. His numbers were similar to Lamar Jackson's. Well, last I saw, Lamar Jackson hasn't won a Super Bowl. All right. Oh, well, he's an MVP. Yeah. Have you saw his most valuable player behavior in the AFC Championship game? Seeming to stomp around like a little baby after making mistakes and this and that. That's not an MVP, folks. That's not what an MVP does. Lamar Jackson has a lot to learn, and I don't care. Justin Fields, you can compare him to this one and that one. The person that I compare Justin Fields with, likely, even though he's not really the big scrambling quarterback, would probably be Jameis Winston. I like Jameis Winston. This guy can throw the ball 80 yards in the air, unlike Justin Fields. I think he's got a very poor arm. He's got a very, very big set of happy feet in the backfield as well. Justin Fields, to me, in my opinion, this guy is a run first, then pass quarterback. He doesn't have a big arm. I mean, what Ohio State quarterback outside of C.J. Stroud the last season was a rookie of the year, whatever. Outside of C.J. Stroud, listen, I don't think there's been an Ohio State quarterback, first of all, that has won a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback. No, that was how fast we thought about that. But at the same time, Ohio State quarterbacks, folks, they just generally, historically, don't perform well in the National Football League. And I loved what Jim Harbaugh said recently about what Tom Brady had said about Ohio State quarterbacks. He said, I don't see them hoisting Super Bowl trophies. Of course, I'm paraphrasing this, but it was a reel that I saw somewhere on social media. So listen, Justin Fields going to the Pittsburgh Steelers should make all of the Cincinnati Bengal fans happy, the Cleveland Browns fan happy, and of course, the Baltimore Raven fans quite happy as well, because I believe he's a complete liability. This guy throws interceptions late in the game. He makes bad decisions in the last, we'll say, 20 minutes of the game. So towards the end of the third quarter, all the way through the fourth. I've been watching this kid with the Chicago Bears. They say, well, he's had a few different offensive coordinators and quarterback coach. I don't give a damn. The reality is this kid, in my opinion, is not ready to be a starter in the National Football League. But Pittsburgh did do one thing right. They put a Super Bowl winning quarterback in front of him to maybe train him. Hopefully, for Pittsburgh's sake, Justin Fields will stay within the tackle box and play the quarterback position instead of running out of his protection and then looking to create something. He doesn't have that skill. At Ohio State, you could put a German Shepherd in the backfield and they're going to be a great quarterback. You could put them under center because they have these big offensive linemen. But I got to tell you, folks, Justin Fields is not ready to be a starter in the National Football League. He has not developed the skills yet to see the field. The game hasn't slowed down for him yet. Now, it took Aaron Rodgers a few years to really figure this thing out, and Aaron turned out to be a phenomenal quarterback. And what Green Bay did with Jordan Love, putting him behind Aaron Rodgers to learn, in the same way that Rodgers learned behind Brett Favre, right? The reality is the quarterback position, it takes a while to develop. You can't just throw somebody into the frying pan because the game gets faster and faster every level you go up. I'll tell you what, all these free agent signings, you think about this guy moving here, this guy moving there. We ask ourselves, is this the right move? I don't know. The Bears taking Caleb Williams as the first pick is the only move the Bears can take because remember, they passed up Patrick Mahomes to take mediocre Mitchell Trubisky. And if that doesn't make you laugh, believe me, nothing is going to make you laugh. I mean, that was an abomination. Anyway, folks, one at a time right here on the Sports Circus. We're going to see you soon right here on your favorite station in about 23 hours. Hope you enjoyed the show today. We had a lot of fun, and we'll see you soon. Until then, so long, everyone.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.